Every spring, Americans spend millions of dollars and countless weekends waging war on weeds. But here's something your local garden center won't tell you. Some of those so-called weeds are actually free food, free medicine, and free fertilizer growing right under your nose. In fact, a few of them are more nutritious than the vegetables you're protecting. So before you reach for that trowel, let's take a look at 13 weeds you should never pull from your garden. Number 1. Dandelion. Let's start with the most hated plant in America, the dandelion. Homeowners spend a fortune every year trying to wipe out these cheerful yellow flowers, and honestly, it's a shame. Because here's the thing, every single part of a dandelion is edible, from the flower right down to the root. The young leaves are packed with vitamins A, C, and K, along with calcium, potassium, and iron. In fact, dandelion greens are more nutritious than most of the salad greens you'll find at the grocery store. You can toss them in salads, sauté them like spinach, or blend them into smoothies. The flowers can be turned into jelly, fritters, or even homemade wine. And the roots? When dried and roasted, they make a caffeine-free coffee substitute that people have been drinking for centuries. But dandelions don't just feed you, they feed your garden too. That long taproot drills deep into compacted soil, breaking it up and pulling nutrients like calcium up toward the surface, where shallow-rooted plants can use them. When the plant dies back, those channels also improve drainage and aeration. On top of all that, dandelions are one of the earliest blooming flowers in spring, providing food for bees and other pollinators when very little else is available. So the next time you see that pop of yellow in your yard, maybe give it a pass. Number 2. White clover. Not too long ago, white clover was actually included in grass seed mixes on purpose. It wasn't until chemical companies started marketing broadleaf herbicides in the 1950s that clover suddenly got rebranded as a weed. Talk about a marketing scheme. The truth is, clover might be the hardest working plant in your entire yard. It's a legume, which means it partners with bacteria in its roots to pull nitrogen straight out of the air and fix it into the soil. Nitrogen, as you may know, is the main ingredient in lawn fertilizer. So clover is essentially fertilizing your lawn for free, 24 hours a day. It also stays green during droughts when your regular grass turns brown. It chokes out less desirable weeds, and it rarely needs mowing. That's why more and more homeowners are actually switching to clover lawns or clover grass mixes on purpose. And we can't forget the pollinators. Those little white blossoms are a favorite food source for honeybees and bumblebees, which are struggling in many parts of the country. Leaving your clover alone is one of the easiest ways to support them. As a bonus, the flowers and leaves are edible, and clover flower tea has been enjoyed as a folk remedy for generations. So if clover pops up in your garden beds or lawn, consider it a gift, not a nuisance. Number 3. Purslane. If you've ever seen a low-growing plant with reddish stems and plump, paddle-shaped leaves creeping across your garden beds, congratulations, you've met purslane. Most people rip it out on sight. Big mistake. Purslane is considered a superfood in many parts of the world, and for good reason. It contains more omega-3 fatty acids than almost any other leafy green, the same heart-healthy fats found in fish oil. It's also loaded with vitamins A, C, and E, plus magnesium, potassium, and antioxidants. The flavor is slightly tangy and lemony, with a satisfying crunch, which makes it perfect for salads, sandwiches, and stir-fries. In Mexico, it's known as verdolagas and is a beloved ingredient in traditional stews. In the Mediterranean, it's been eaten for thousands of years. But purslane isn't just good on your plate, it's good for your garden too. Its sprawling growth acts as a living mulch, shading the soil, keeping it cool, and reducing moisture loss during hot summer months. Its roots also help break up hard soil. One quick note, make sure you're looking at purslane and not spurge, which looks somewhat similar but has thinner stems that release a milky white sap when broken. Purslane has thick, succulent stems with clear juice. Once you learn the difference, you'll never confuse them again. Number 4. Lamb's quarters. Lamb's quarters, sometimes called wild spinach or goosefoot, is one of the most common garden weeds in North America. It has soft triangular leaves with a dusty white coating on the new growth, almost like they've been sprinkled with powder. And here's the kicker. This humble weed is a close relative of quinoa and spinach, and it's arguably more nutritious than both. The leaves are rich in protein, vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, and iron. Gram for gram, lamb's quarters beats cultivated spinach in several nutritional categories. You can use it exactly like spinach, steam it, sauté it with garlic, add it to soups, omelets, or pasta dishes. The mild, slightly nutty flavor makes it incredibly versatile. Native Americans and early settlers relied on this plant as a food source for good reason. Even the seeds are edible. Just like its cousin quinoa, they can be harvested, and a single plant can produce tens of thousands of them. Like most leafy greens, including spinach, lamb's quarters contains oxalic acid, so it's best enjoyed in moderation or lightly cooked, which reduces the oxalates. But as part of a normal diet, it's a fantastic free vegetable. So if lamb's quarters shows up between your tomato rows, don't curse it. Harvest it. You're essentially getting a bonus crop you never had to plant, water, or fertilize. Number 5. Broadleaf plantain. No, we are not talking about the banana-like fruit. Broadleaf plantain is that low rosette of oval ribbed leaves you have seen growing in every lawn, driveway crack, and garden path in America. This plant has been called nature's Band-Aid, and once you know why, you will never pull it again. The leaves contain compounds with anti-inflammatory and soothing properties. For generations, people have crushed fresh plantain leaves and applied them to bug bites, bee stings, minor cuts, and skin irritations to calm itching and swelling. It is one of the most well-known first aid plants in folk medicine, and it is probably growing 10 feet from your back door. The young leaves are also edible and can be added to salads, though older leaves get stringy and are better cooked or brewed into tea. The seeds are related to psyllium, yes, the same fiber found in products like Metamucil. In the garden, plantain thrives in compacted soil where little else will grow, and its fibrous roots help break that soil up over time. It is also remarkably tolerant of foot traffic, which is why it happily lines your garden paths. Fun fact, Native Americans called this plant white man's footprint because it seemed to follow European settlers everywhere they went. Today, it follows all of us, and that is honestly a good thing. Number 6, stinging nettle. Now, this one might sound crazy. Why would anyone keep a plant that stings you? Well, stick with us here, because stinging nettle might be the most useful weed on this entire list. First, the food angle. Once cooked, dried, or blanched, nettles completely lose their sting and transform into one of the most nutrient-dense greens on the planet. They're loaded with protein, iron, calcium, and vitamins A and C. Nettle soup is a springtime delicacy in Europe, and nettle tea is enjoyed around the world. Second, nettles are a gardener's secret weapon. Toss them into a bucket of water, let them steep for a couple of weeks, and you'll have a nutrient-rich liquid fertilizer, often called nettle tea for plants. It smells terrible, but your tomatoes will love it. Nettles are also a fantastic compost activator, speeding up decomposition thanks to their high nitrogen content. Third, and maybe most importantly, stinging nettles are a host plant for the caterpillars of several beautiful butterflies, including the red admiral. No nettles often means no butterflies. Of course, you'll want to wear gloves when handling them, and it's smart to keep them in a corner of the yard rather than next to your walkway. But a small nettle patch is like having a supplement store, a fertilizer factory, and a butterfly nursery all in one. Number 7, chickweed. Chickweed is a delicate, sprawling little plant with tiny white, star-shaped flowers, and it loves to carpet garden beds in the cool weather of early spring and fall. Most gardeners see it as an invader. Smart gardeners see it as breakfast. The tender stems, leaves, and flowers are all edible, with a mild, fresh flavor, often compared to corn silk or spinach. It's wonderful raw in salads and sandwiches, or lightly wilted into soups and pestos. Nutritionally, it delivers vitamins A and C along with several minerals. Chickweed has also earned a solid reputation in traditional skin care. Crushed chickweed or chickweed-infused salves have long been used to soothe itchy, irritated skin, minor rashes, and bug bites thanks to the plant's cooling, moisture-rich leaves. And as the name suggests, chickens absolutely adore it. If you keep backyard hens, chickweed makes a free, healthy treat they'll devour. In the garden itself, chickweed acts as a gentle, living mulch during the cooler months, protecting bare soil from erosion and temperature swings. Its shallow roots pull up easily when you're ready to plant, and the foliage makes excellent compost material. One identification tip: true chickweed has a single line of fine hairs running up one side of the stem, and its stem has a stretchy inner core. Once you spot those features, you can harvest with confidence. Number 8. Milkweed. If there is one plant on this list you should absolutely, positively never pull, it's milkweed. Here's why. Milkweed is the only plant that monarch butterfly caterpillars can eat, not one of several options. The only one. Monarch butterflies have declined dramatically over the past few decades, and habitat loss is a major reason. Every milkweed plant that gets yanked out of a garden is one less nursery for the next generation of monarchs. That's why conservation groups across the country are literally begging Americans to plant milkweed, while many of us are still pulling it out as a weed. And milkweed isn't just for monarchs. Its large, fragrant flower clusters, usually pink, orange, or white, depending on the species, are absolute magnets for bees, hummingbirds, and dozens of other butterfly species. Plant one milkweed, and your garden suddenly becomes the most popular restaurant in the neighborhood. There are over 100 milkweed species native to North America, so there's one suited to almost every region and soil type, from swamp milkweed to butterfly weed with its brilliant orange blooms. A word of caution: milkweed sap can irritate skin and eyes, and the plant is toxic if eaten, so keep that in mind with pets and small children. But standing in your garden watching a monarch caterpillar munch away on a plant you decided to spare, that's a feeling no perfectly manicured flower bed can match. Number 9. Wild violets. Those little purple flowers popping up in the shady corners of your lawn every spring? Those are wild violets, and lawn care companies have somehow convinced millions of Americans that they're the enemy. Don't fall for it. Wild violets are native plants across much of the United States, and they're one of the prettiest weeds you'll ever encounter. Both the flowers and young leaves are edible. The blossoms have a delicate, sweet flavor and look absolutely stunning, candied on cakes, frozen into ice cubes, or tossed fresh into spring salads. The leaves are rich in vitamins A and C and can be used like any mild salad green or cooked like spinach. Violets also make a beautiful old-fashioned jelly and a soothing syrup that's been a folk favorite for generations. But here's what most people don't know. Wild violets are the host plant for fritillary butterfly caterpillars. These gorgeous orange and black butterflies lay their eggs near violets because it's the only food their caterpillars can eat. Pull the violets, lose the butterflies. Violets also serve as a hardy ground cover in shady, damp spots where grass struggles anyway. They form low mats of heart-shaped leaves that suppress other weeds and require zero maintenance. So instead of fighting violets year after year, surrender. Let them have that shady corner. They'll pay you back in flowers, food, and butterflies. Number 10. Yarrow. Yarrow is a feathery-leaved plant topped with flat clusters of tiny white flowers, and it has a resume stretching back thousands of years. Its scientific name, Achillea millefolium, comes from the Greek hero Achilles, who, according to legend, used yarrow to treat his soldiers' wounds on the battlefield. That legend exists for a reason. Yarrow has a long history in traditional medicine as a wound herb used for generations to help slow minor bleeding and support skin healing. It remains one of the most respected plants in herbal traditions around the world. In the garden, yarrow is an absolute workhorse. Those flower clusters attract a who's who of beneficial insects: ladybugs, lacewings, hoverflies, and parasitic wasps, all of which prey on garden pests like aphids. In other words, letting yarrow grow is like hiring a free, all-natural pest control service. Yarrow's deep roots also mine nutrients from the subsoil, and its leaves make a mineral-rich addition to your compost pile, where they're said to speed up decomposition. Some gardeners even plant yarrow deliberately alongside vegetables as a companion plant. It's drought-tolerant, thrives in poor soil, blooms for months, and pollinators love it. Honestly, garden centers sell fancy cultivated varieties of yarrow for good money. And here it is, showing up in your yard for free. Pulling it would just be bad business. Number 11, goldenrod. Goldenrod might be the most unfairly blamed plant in America. Every fall, when those brilliant golden plumes light up roadsides and gardens, millions of people start sneezing and point the finger at goldenrod. But here's the truth. Goldenrod is almost certainly not causing your allergies. The real culprit is ragweed, which blooms at exactly the same time. Ragweed has lightweight, wind-blown pollen designed to float through the air and straight into your sinuses. Goldenrod's pollen, on the other hand, is heavy and sticky, designed to be carried by insects, not wind. It barely becomes airborne at all. Goldenrod just gets blamed because it's bright, showy, and blooming when your nose starts running, while drab green ragweed flies under the radar. Now that we've cleared its name, let's talk about why goldenrod deserves a place in your garden. It's one of the single most important late-season food sources for pollinators in North America. When most flowers have faded in late summer and fall, goldenrod is a lifeline for bees stocking up for winter and for monarch butterflies fueling their epic migration to Mexico. Goldenrod supports well over 100 species of butterflies and moths, and it's native to nearly every state. Birds also feast on its seeds through winter, so this fall, when goldenrod blazes gold in the corner of your yard, let it shine. Your local bees will thank you. Number 12, Queen Anne's lace. Queen Anne's lace, also known as wild carrot, produces those gorgeous, delicate, white flower clusters that look like doilies floating on tall stems. And here's a fun fact. It's the wild ancestor of the very same carrots sitting in your refrigerator right now. If you crush its leaves, they even smell just like carrots. In the garden, Queen Anne's lace is a beneficial insect magnet. Its broad, flat flower heads act like landing pads for ladybugs, lacewings, hoverflies, and tiny parasitic wasps, the same pest-fighting dream team attracted by yarrow. Studies on companion planting have found that flowering umbels like these help boost populations of predatory insects that keep aphids and caterpillar pests in check. It also provides food for pollinators through the heat of summer, and its intricate blooms make beautiful, long-lasting cut flowers. Some gardeners grow it on purpose in cottage-style gardens, where it adds an airy, romantic texture you simply can't buy in a seed packet. Now, one very important warning. Queen Anne's lace has a dangerous lookalike called poison hemlock, which is highly toxic. The key differences? Queen Anne's lace has hairy green stems and often a single tiny dark red floret in the center of the flower, while poison hemlock has smooth stems with purple blotches and grows much taller. Never eat any part of this plant unless you're 100% certain of the identification. When in doubt, just enjoy it with your eyes. The butterflies certainly will. Number 13, purple dead nettle. Rounding out our list is purple dead nettle, that fuzzy little plant with purplish tinted leaves and tiny pink-purple flowers that carpets gardens and fields every early spring. Despite the intimidating name, dead nettle doesn't sting at all. That's actually what dead refers to. It's a member of the mint family, which you can confirm by its square stem. So why should you leave it alone? Timing. Purple dead nettle is one of the very first flowers to bloom in late winter and early spring, often when frost is still on the ground. For hungry bees emerging from winter, especially bumblebee queens trying to establish new colonies, those little purple blooms can be a matter of life and death. Pull the dead nettle too early and you've taken away one of the only meals in town. It's also edible. The young leaves and tops can be added to salads, soups, and smoothies, offering vitamins along with a mild, slightly earthy flavor. Foragers prize it as one of the easiest and safest wild greens to identify. As a winter annual, dead nettle also protects bare soil from erosion during the cold months, then dies back naturally as summer crops take over. Its shallow roots pull out effortlessly. If you ever do need the space, consider it a temporary guest that pays rent in pollinator support and free salad greens. So there you have it, 13 weeds that are actually hidden treasures. From free superfoods to butterfly nurseries, these plants prove that sometimes the best gardener is the one who knows when to put the trowel down. Which of these weeds grows in your garden? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you found this video useful, give it a like and share it with your friends. And be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video.